For today's Cyber CEO episode,
we have built a really, really good relationship. What they're giving me is leverage of my time so that I know that when I have this listing or I have this thing that needs to go, postcard needs to go out. Oh my God, I forgot about the postcard. Guess what? She didn't. She got it out. It went out on time and I didn't have to think about it, and she's executing on it.
welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. An awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is Jello. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO. And of course, we have a very special guest on the show. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for asking. And of course, for dropping by. I know you have a lot of things to do. Really appreciate you being on the show. Now, to start things off, to let you know, we have a lot of listeners who are business owners just like yourself. So I need your help. Can you introduce yourself to our audience? Maybe we can start with, what's your role in the business, Alex?
Sure. My name is Alex Sanger. I'm with Keller Williams Capital Properties based here in Rockville, Maryland, a suburb of Washington, D.C. We service all of the D.C. metro area and all of the Maryland suburbs. And my job in the company is, well, everything. I run the company. I'm the team lead. I'm the head agent. I'm all that stuff.
So I can only imagine your every day must be quite busy for you then.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And that is why I have two cyberbackers, because my days are very, very busy. And there's a lot that needs to get done in order to be successful. And I can't do that without help.
There we go. Without leverage, of course. So how long have you been in the business, by the way?
So I got my license, my first real estate license, I got 20 years ago this year.
Gosh, tons of experience right there. But
yeah.
How about working with someone virtual though, just like with your cyberbackers? Is this your first time?
This is not my first time working with a virtual assistant. So in my particular case, I kind of fell into real estate a different way than most. I'm a geek that fell into real estate, is kind of what I say. So I had a 10-year career in technology before I got started in real estate. I had a technology startup, was part of that. We wound up selling the company. I didn't want to move to Seattle. And so I wound up staying here locally in Maryland. And at the time, I was struggling to find work. And basically, what wound up happening is I said to my wife, what can we control? And what we could control was our mortgage. We didn't have to have this big, expensive house. And at the time I said I had more money than I did, or I had more time than I had money. Mm-hmm. So, and I knew marketing because that was the other thing that I have a background in. And so I wound up selling my house myself. And I wound up picking up 4 real estate agents as clients, wound up working with one of them, wound up getting my license. And during that process, I wound up not working with them anymore and kind of going a bit alone. And when I went to my broker at the time, they said, Alex, you're a great agent, but your paperwork sucks. And you need to do a better job with your paperwork. And I'm like, I agree. And I was kind of arguing with them. I'm like, why aren't you guys helping me with this? Like, let me do what I'm good at, which is go out and make relationships with people instead of me focusing on, I'm missing an initial right there. And so they said, get yourself an assistant. And so I reached out to a company, and this was probably 15, 16 years ago. And I wound up picking up actually a former agent that was in Texas. And as you know, I'm in Maryland. And I worked with her for 3, 4, or 5 years, and she was great. And I never physically met her in my entire life. The only thing I ever did was I talked to her on the phone because we didn't have Zoom back then, right? True. We didn't have the video chat stuff that like we do now. And she was fantastic. And then eventually she wound up phasing out. And so I brought somebody on staff physically.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very expensive. And I went through quite a few people. And the last person that I had, which was fantastic, he wound up leaving my company to go work somewhere else outside of the industry. And he was getting an offer for getting paid twice as much as I was paying. And I'm like, yeah, you got to go. I can't pay that. You got to go. And so when he and I talked, he said, Alex, you really should think about splitting this work into two people because there's too much work for one person. Even though he was able to handle it, he said, realistically, it's probably better to split it to two. And so that's when I reached out to some people in Keller Williams and said, what are you doing? Who are you using? They introduced me to Cyberbacker. And I engaged you guys and said, look, actually, I wanted 3 people, but I could only afford 2 at the time. And so you guys hooked me up with Elise and Allie. They've just been great. And that's what we did. We wound up splitting up the work. The work on the administrative side of the world. We wound up splitting that up, one into marketing and database, and the other one is transactions. So that's how I've split up the work, right? So if it's something that deals with a client, a buyer, a seller, a renter, a landlord, an investor, anything like that, one person handles. Once the transaction's done, that person goes into the database, all the database marketing stuff, right? Because that's, if you're looking at your marketing approach, your database is your data bank. Sure. So making sure that I have somebody focused on making sure the database is clean, meaning you have name, address, phone number, email address, all that stuff. We're actually going through a process right now where we're cleaning the database. We're scrubbing the database. So that's what Elise does. And then Allie or Alyssa, she focuses more on the transactions, the transaction coordination, and making sure the transaction is going to settlement, making sure that the compliance is done, making sure that we're getting paid, all the initials that are missing are there. And she's also, when she's not as busy, helping out with the website as well. So she has some good talent there, and I'm kind of refining that, helping her with that stuff as well. So that's probably not the question you asked me, but that's kind of a quick overview of how we got to where we are today.
So basically, help with your website, transactions, also with your marketing and your database. How long have you been working with both Cyberbackers, though?
We started the end of last year. So I would say, I think it was in December. Yeah, December. So yeah, 4 months maybe now. 4 months,
probably 4 months then. Now, in that short span of time, what has been the impact of virtual leverage then to you and your business so far?
So a big part of it is training. I need to, not training for me, but training for them, right?
Of course.
So the thing that people often overlook is that when you're bringing on somebody into your business, they need to be trained on how, not just the business, but how you do things.
True.
And so the reason I brought them on in December was so that I could train them up so that now when we're in the spring, right, February, March, that they're actually caught up to speed on what they need to do. Right.
True.
And so not just the training that Cyberbacker does, by the way, you guys do a really nice job with kind of giving them a baseline that we can build from, right? So that's something that is also really nice, is that they're not coming in with zero. They're coming in with, a level of understanding, and we're going to build from there. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because over the past 4 months, we've been doing a lot of focus on social media, and really refining and building a system for social media, as well as transactions, as well as other things, e-newsletters, things like that, website, all of those types of things. And I apologize if the phone's ringing, because we just had a really, really nice listing go on the market today, and we're getting pummeled with phone calls. So that's fine. That's a good problem. Going back, so focusing on social media. So we have something going out every day of the week. Okay. And it took us a long time to kind of refine that approach So we had something different that was valuable. What I mean by that, valuable, number one, I wasn't posting regularly. Mm-hmm. It was something that I needed to have done. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it myself because it's just not how I'm wired, right? Mm-hmm. But I know it's important. And so what we figured out is what's something that they can do remotely that has an impact on the social media and that ties it. Mm-hmm. And so we initially started with 1 day, then we added 2 days, then we added 3 days, and they weren't necessarily in sequence, right? Now we're at the point where we're posting something every day of the week, and we have a consistent approach to that. Meaning when we first started posting, we were getting 3, 4, or 5, views. Then it jumped up to 30 or 40 or 50 views. We recently, just last week, had one post that got over 3,000 views, right? So the impact is starting to have an effect. The other thing that's happening with that is because of the approach that we're taking, we're now actually starting to see more people inquiring through Google, for example, right? So one of the places we post, when we post these things, isn't just Instagram and TikTok and all these things that are very trendy, but let's go back to the basics. Google is where people search. And Google is just like those other places. They want to see you be active with Google, and then they're going to promote you more highly in their search results. And so the reason I bring that up is because before we started this approach, we were getting nothing really from online leads. And now we're at the point where we're getting about 1 lead a week, which is a dramatic improvement. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a baby step into the direction that we're trying to head, which is to get a consistent level of leads coming in. And by the way, when I say leads, I don't mean like a Zillow inquiry. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about an actual lead where I went on an actual appointment. Like, for example, one of them was a $1.2 million listing appointment. Ooh. Right? Okay. Well, you land that, you're making anywhere from, $20,000 to $35,000 in a commission. All of a sudden, your Cyberbacker paid for themselves, didn't they?
Yes, immediately. Right there. Now, it seems to me that you already have somewhat of a well-oiled machine. Your Cyberbackers. How did it get to that point? I know it takes time, but what were the steps that you took to get to this point?
It's an iterative process. It's not a flip a switch and you're off to the races. It takes time. It takes your time, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand when they get a virtual assistant. They think they're just going to plug them right in and they're just off to the races. No. You can't do that. You have to take your time to meet with them, to explain stuff to them, to train them, right? So one of the things that I do with my Cyberbackers, and I really do it as a team with my buyer's agents as well. Usually my buyer's agents will have a huddle once a week, okay? With the entire team to say, okay, guys, this is what's happening in the company right now. These are the transactions. These are the prospects. These are the events we have coming up. This is the marketing stuff we need to be doing. All the stuff that's going on, we'll meet once a week. Well, with a Cyberbacker, because they aren't local, you're not in the office with them, so they can just ask a question like they would if you were sitting next to them. We have a daily huddle, Monday through Friday, okay? And so both of my Cyberbackers and myself are on that daily huddle every single day. Now, I say every single day, but what happens is when I get busy, I say, hey guys, there's no huddle today. And they're like, that's fine. We need time to work. You've given us too much, right? So to answer your question, it's an iterative process where we're training them to do what needs to be done. We're meeting with them on a daily basis, anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours it might take to get through all the stuff that we're going through. In my case, I have 2 Cyberbackers. They do something a little bit different each, but I have them there together because I want them to work as a team because they can communicate through Slack and other forms with one another. They help each other out. When one of them has a family emergency, the other one can pick up the slack for them. Okay. So I like having multiple people. I like having overlap so they can support one another. And that's a process we get to, right? They're part of that conversation in that morning huddle. So they're hearing what the other person has to do. They can contribute. Hey, by the way, if you're doing that, what about this? Oh, that's a great idea. Let's incorporate that, right? So we're making sure that they're not just virtual assistants, but they're team members. They're part of our team.
Basically, the best investment in your cyberbackers so far then is your time. Giving them your time, helping them to learn, helping them with, as what you mentioned, just the huddles every day. When you have the time, just being with them, building on the relationship, right? Now, how about communication though? How important or how crucial is communication in a virtual setup or a virtual partnership just like this one?
I mean, if you can't communicate with them, you have nothing, right? The great thing about my cyberbackers is one of the requirements that I had very much was that they needed to be able to speak English very well.
Of course.
And so that is something that is really important because both of them are going to be client facing at some point. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is, so Elise is in charge of database. Well, she's going to have to contact people and say, hey, it looks like we have your phone number, but we don't have your email address. Alex asked me to follow up with you because we have this great event coming up and he wants me to make sure that we have all of your information, right? So she can do that. She's not cold calling. She's not prospecting. She's calling people we already have a relationship with. Because if I was going to have her call or prospect, that's a different kind of cyberbacker. True. That's an ISA. That's somebody who's trained differently. Quite frankly, they're more expensive, and that's okay. They should be, right? Mm-hmm. They have a better command of the English language, all of those things. On the other hand, Alyssa focuses on the transaction coordination. Again, she needs to contact the settlement company. She needs to contact the lender. She needs to contact the inspector. She needs to contact the client, right? So she's going to be contacting them. The other thing I also have her working on is getting testimonials, increasing our number of testimonials online. Well, that's another conversation she needs to have with those folks, right? So making sure that communication is paramount. Having a VPN allows them to make a phone call to the United States, just as if they were sitting right next to me in the next room. And so they're able to make phone calls. We're able to text. We're able to email. We're able to call. I mean, I love technology. I can literally be driving down the road on Route 270 and I'm calling my cyberbacker in the Philippines using a VPN and having a conversation on my way to an appointment because there's something I need her to do right before I get there.
Really amazing technology nowadays. Yeah, amazing.
It's technology.
Imagine, go back, let's say 10, 15 years ago. This wasn't even possible back then, right?
Wasn't possible. And on top of it, if I'm on my way to an appointment and we have a daily huddle, guess what? I pull out my phone, I stick it on my dash, and we're having our Zoom daily huddle while I'm driving to my appointment, and they're sitting in the Philippines, doing their work, right?
Yeah, imagine beauty of the technology nowadays. Now, I have one last question for you though, Alex. You have two amazing cyberbackers. We've been talking about them for a while now. What I'd like to know is, what do you like most about your cyberbackers then? What's the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about it?
We have built a really, really good relationship. One of the things that people don't understand, again, is that these aren't robots. These aren't widgets. These are people. And it's important to treat every person that works for you as a person. They go through the same struggles that you do, right? And in some cases, with the cyberbackers that we work with, they go through more stuff than I go through, right? Mm-hmm. So having a willingness and an understanding to be compassionate to their situation, knowing that you have built a relationship with them of trust, so that I know that, guess what? One of them just had a death in the family. And, in the Philippines, it was a major deal. It was her grandmother, which is really almost like her mother. And she was really struggling. And I'm like, you know what? You need to take some time because we have somebody else that can pick up the slack. I can pick up the slack. You need to go deal with what's happening there. And I know that's a big deal. It's not just like a one-day thing. It's a process, right? And she felt bad. I'm like, no. Go do your thing. She's like, well, I'll make up the time. I'm like, I know you will, because I know you and I know that your character. And so just today, when we had our huddle before this call, I gave her just all this list of stuff. She's like, thank you. And I'm like, she's like, I feel good. I'm like, why do you feel good? She goes, now you've given me all this kind of stuff that I can do for my overtime so that I can make up the hours that I missed. And I'm like, great. And she was excited, to do the work. The bottom line is, You have to invest in them, just like you talk to somebody else at the water cooler.
No
Guess what?
difference,
The first 5 or 10 minutes of our huddle is we're just jawing it up, right? They'll talk about have you heard this song? We pull up a YouTube, play the song. Oh my God, that's so funny. That's from the 80s. Yeah, it is. Isn't it cool? It's fun. And they'll bring up something that they saw or whatever. We get to know each other a little bit. And so by getting to know each other, we build trust. And when we build trust, the person's halfway across the world. I have to trust them that they're going to do the work that they said that they're going to do, and they're going to put in the time that they're going to do. Well, I have a relationship where they know they can ask me anything, and they're excited to do the work for me because of the way I treat them, because I treat them like people.
Good.
And so if you do that, you build the trust, you get the return, you get what they're giving me is leverage of my time.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that I know that when I have this listing or I have this thing that needs to go, postcard needs to go out. Oh my God, I forgot about the postcard. Guess what? She didn't. She got it out. It went out on time and I didn't have to think about it. And that's to the level that after 4 months, we're already at that level where I don't have to think about things because I've trained her for 3-4 months now on what I'm expecting and she's executing on it.
Now, it already seems to me that you've already found your perfect cyberbackers. Of course, you and your business.
Don't say perfect. No one's perfect. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hang on, let's see if I still have it right here. Yes, I do. Right here. So I coach volleyball.
Oh.
Okay. And I coach youth girls 15 volleyball.
Oh.
And I have a saying that I give to all of them. And it says, I was born to be awesome, not perfect. And that's what I expect from all of my people. I want them to be awesome, but I don't expect them to be perfect. They will make mistakes. And that's okay. I don't care if you make a mistake. I care about how you fix it.
I love that. Now, we're very, very excited to see, of course, the continued growth of your partnership with your cyberbackers all throughout the year. And again, Alex, thank you very much for dropping by. I hope we can do this again soon. Maybe I can check up on you maybe after a couple of months from today. Would that be okay?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Alex, you have a wonderful day and you take care, all right?
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of Cyber CEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.